Ooh, there's something going on. Well, I guess I won't transition to that. What is happening with my camera? I've got lovely black bars. What just happened? Because reason. Is that any better? I guess that's better. Hey Mahalo. Hey Dark. Welcome in. I'm having a tiny bit of technical difficulties with the view on our screen today. So I am kind of doing my best to trying best. That is so weird. I'm not entirely sure. Way. Not yesterday, the day before yesterday. Oh, I know what's going on. I'm an idiot. I had this guy in photo mode yesterday, and so now it's still in photo mode instead of video mode. So I apologize for the amount of time that it is taking me. All right. Gonna let me do the thing. It seems to be doing the letting me do the thing. Okay. All right, and then, or it can. Why is it being dumb? I'll do the thing. This isn't a timed test. Good. I'm so glad, guys. Thanks for your patience. Okay. So that one's good to go. All right. Hey guys, it's Ray, and we are streaming blacksmithing. And part of the reason I'm having so many issues is that when I first started streaming with this camera setup, my partner set all of the little settings on the camera for me. And then he took it to do a freelance gig, and he didn't reset up the settings. So I've kind of been bumbling through figuring out what the settings I need are. And so unfortunately, I'm having some issues remembering what those settings were. So I'm doing my best. Hopefully everything's okay. It looks like the stream looks pretty decent. So, and then I transition to the camera. It looks like we're good. So yeah, hopefully it'll be fine. I just, for whatever reason, I can't empty my cards, so I don't know. Maybe the card will fill. No dinner for him today. Maybe that, or I'll just have him set or reset up the camera for me, so I just have to plug and play. All right, so today is day 2 of our tongs, and we're going to continue using the press. So on Monday, we got this far on this guy, and I'm going to swap cameras so I can show you guys kind of like how far we went. So we've got quite a bit of movement there. So we've gained quite a bit of length. It looks like we've maybe gained about somewhere between 1/3 and a half of the length that has increased today. We definitely need to thin this guy out so that we can get, you know, a more skinnier tong, because this is going to be this is kind of our guiding star, our guide for these tongs, except for the nose. But I like the reins and the neck of this guy. So we're going to continue working on this and making it skinnier. And then we're also probably going to do a little bit of starting on this guy. So we're going to continue working, and we'll see how far we can get today. So, hopefully you guys could hear that. Theoretically, you should have been able to hear that. There's no like ambient noise, except for the door banging open and close. The screen door out there is like the wind is banging it open and close. So hopefully you guys can't hear it too badly. All right, so first things first, we are going to start up the forge and start getting our pieces hot. And so that's what we're gonna do. Light that forge. Now, I think at some point later on in the stream, we're gonna have to change tanks. I do have a brand new tank, so once this guy freezes up, we'll change to the brand new tank. And it should work pretty well. Come on. There we go. Well, the forge didn't want to start today. Let's try this again. There we go. Much, much more better. It was puttering to begin with. But now we've got a really nice, strong flame going. Flame on. Exactly. Okay. So, I'm going to put this guy inside and start heating him up. Alrighty, I can hear myself again with our nice headphones. Okie doke. So we're gonna spend a little bit of time on the first side, and then we're gonna put this guy back in the forge, and we'll start working on the other set, or the other side, the set of reins there. Okay, so there is a minute chance that we might go down again like we did last Friday. The reason the internet went down last Friday is because the wind was just whipping and howling out there, and it kind of jostled all of the the above ground the above ground cable lines that supply internet to this area. So it is, the wind is whipping out there again. I've heard that we're not supposed to get any more tornadoes or storms, but we're supposed to get huge amounts of wind. So if that's the case, then hopefully, you know, it doesn't happen until after the stream is done. I'd much rather lose time playing MMOs tonight than lose, you know, our time together. So hopefully we'll be able to keep our internet. There's a big storm going on. I'm on the north side of it, so we are getting lots of cold wind. Yeah, we've been getting so much wind, and it's like really, really cloudy. But according to the weatherman, and you know, they're kind of subjectively correct half the time, maybe a little bit more, I don't know. We aren't supposed to get any like major storms like lightning or tornadoes or anything like that. I heard that it's also going to, like, there is a small chance of rain, but it's not supposed to be gale force or anything like it was on Friday night. So overall, we should be able to keep on working, and hopefully, like I said, the internet will not force us to end the stream early again. All right. Let's see. Okay. Let's see here. So on Friday of this week, my partner is going to be home. He was supposed to be home all week, and a relative of his from Hawaii was supposed to come and visit, and she was sick, so she didn't make it this week. So he went back to work and canceled his vacation so that he could take it again later on when she's well again and able to come visit. So, but he did actually take Friday off, so I am still planning on streaming, but there is a minor chance that instead of our regularly scheduled blacksmithing, we might be streaming rearranging the shop. That's one of the things that I wanted to get done this week while he was home, if he, you know, didn't spend all of his time with family. So we want to switch around the entire shop. So take the forge from over here and put it behind the camera, and kind of flip everything around so I can start opening up this garage door for even more ventilation and more light. And so there is a chance that Friday's stream will be us kind of, you know, in and out, kind of doing that the rearranging. So that might be the case. Otherwise, we'll continue normally. But there's a good chance we will be streaming, like rearranging the shop. Get to see how the sausage is made. Exactly. Yeah, so I've got so many pieces of equipment, and we're gonna pull the cars out of the carport, start unloading the entire area, and then we're going to start putting things in place, and then it'll be a lot more organized, and I'm hoping that it's a little bit more workable as far as like walking around and flow in the shop area, as well as a much more interesting backdrop for you guys to look at. So, because I mean, we've got the garage door and it kind of blows out my face a bit. So hopefully, you know, when we change around the area, we can maybe add some shelves and stuff behind me. And so that is the goal. Alrighty. Looks like we're still heating up just a little bit. I think I'm going to move the camera over here, or not the main camera, but the anvil camera. We're gonna move that over here. And yes. Let's see if we can make this so it's a little bit easier for you guys. I noticed when I watched the VOD that my elbow occasionally was getting in the way of you guys' view. So I'm gonna see if I can't maybe bring it down a little bit so maybe the elbow isn't in front of it this time. There, hopefully that's a good shot. I got to be a pretend blacksmith yesterday. I think that's all right, that's good. How did you get to be a pretend blacksmith yesterday, Mahalo? Did you get to go to like a Renaissance fair or something? Looks good, awesome. I'm glad. Yeah, I have plenty of space and hopefully, you know, I should be able to move my arm and not hamper your view. Ooh, I brought my water back out today. My kidneys are much happier now that I've got water instead of soda. Let's see. Mounting brackets for a tall trailer jack on the log splitter got smushed by a stray log. Ooh, I hope it wasn't too bad. Some of those logs can be really, really heavy, but it sounds like you're relatively okay, no broken bones, right? I uninstalled it and straightened it out. That's good. Yeah, no Mountain Dew today. All water. Gotta keep my kidneys happy so they don't, you know, start making like clams and making kidney pearls. All right. Let's see. Are we hot enough? We are hot enough. All right, I'm gonna do a heat test, and we'll see how this goes. Oh wait, I forgot to hit record on the other camera, like the little guy. Let's hit record real fast. There we go. I apologize for the jiggliness. Got maple root beer today, so good. Maple root beer is really good. It's been a long time since I've had it though. Black shell shock shotgun. Watching this makes me want to jerry rig a forge in my own backyard. That sounds like crack. It does sound like crack. Yeah, forging is really cheap and easy to get started. Some of the more larger pieces of the equipment in my shop have actually cost a pretty penny.
But usually the new pieces of equipment gets paid for by commission work that I've done. But yeah, it's relatively simple to get started in blacksmithing. The only thing that I would recommend to you is pay very close attention to safety, and do know that you will get burned. You will hammer your thumb. There is a chance that you will set yourself on fire. You know, if you're willing to overlook those things, you know, blacksmithing is a really, really fun craft to learn. I got my hands on some 7-Up. 7-Up is great. I like that too. Although most of the time that I drink 7-Up, it is because I've been sick, because it settles your stomach really, really well, especially if you are feeling nauseous. So yeah, 7-Up is great. I would go for the Tullamore Dew, but I'm working tomorrow. Interesting. Hey, Yankee, welcome in. I'm glad you could make it today. Are you playing World of Warcraft some more? Working on that warrior. Every once in a while, I can barely hear like a bus stopping on the road out front. I actually live on a relatively busy stretch of road, and occasionally, like, they'll have traffic jams, especially around the time that school lets out, because the buses come and there's a couple places where the kids get dropped off on our road. And so when the bus stops, it really backs up the traffic. And occasionally I can hear the squeaks of the bus through my headset, which is really strange, and I always feel like I need to look. Alrighty. What was I gonna say? I was thinking about something when I was doing the press, and I think what I was thinking is that I need to actually move the camera back to the anvil, because right now what's happening is the dies on the bar, one side of it is actually going down faster than the other, so the dies are coming together at an angle, and that is actually causing the steel inside, instead of doing right angles, we're getting like skewed angles. So I really want to come back to the anvil and kind of straighten out those edges and the sides, so that we don't create too much of that parallax effect. So that's going to be our next heat. Zerindal, I moved out to the middle of nowhere to get out or get away from all that. Yeah, I thought I was moving out into the middle of nowhere. Sort of, kind of. I mean, my house is on a 2-acre plot of land, and then there is another 2 acres between my shop and the next building that way, and then there's like fields out that way. So it's kind of like, we knew it was a little bit on the busy side, but there's just so much land and area around that we didn't think it would be that big of an issue. So I am grateful for the amount of land that we have, but sometimes it is a little irritating having the traffic back and forth all night, all day. All right, I'm gonna move the camera real fast so that you guys get a good view. And I gotta make sure that it's focused, because I think it was like almost in focus, but it wasn't amazingly in focus when it was on the press, but that looks pretty focused. Okay. So we are going to spend some time over on the anvil face, And the reason we're doing that is to true up our right angles. Right now, our piece is very skewed with parallelograms as opposed to square profile. So we're gonna hammer back on the corners, and that will shove all of the material back into straight lines. It would be nice if you stayed in focus. There it goes. Goodness gracious. Alrighty. We'll let you know if something's off. Excellent. Thank you guys so much. You guys are the best about that. I am always struggling with my technology, and it is a lot easier for me to handle when I know that you guys can help me out. So yesterday I posted the unboxing of the new bottle jack that we have here. That's up on my YouTube channel, and I think it's an okay video. It's probably one of the better ones that I've done so far. So that's up for you guys to take a look at. And I just finished editing the video for our knife project, our butter knife project, and that will go up on the YouTube next week. I try to have a short form video every week. So last week was the fork, the week previously was the spoon. So next week is the knife. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm trying really, really hard to produce one like long form video a week, and then 5 shorts, like 4 YouTube shorts. So total, that means that I'm doing about 9 videos a week, if you include the 3 VODs that I've been posting there too. So check it out if you feel like it. I'd be grateful. Zarindal, thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate that. Our community is growing, and I love it. That is the best part of streaming, is meeting all of these new people. All right, I am gonna take another heat. I saw the unboxing video. I thought it turned out good. Excellent, thank you, Mahalo. It makes me happy that you're happy. going to get at least one more from a friend of mine who also does blacksmithing. Excellent. I would love to create a bigger blacksmithing community. There are several blacksmiths here on Twitch, and I have enjoyed every minute of joining them on this platform. There's so many interesting things that can be done with it. So if you're looking for other blacksmiths on the platform, we've got, let me see, who else do we have? Let me look real fast. Curin Nature is a great blacksmith from Germany. And he and his wife do all kinds of stuff, and they specialize in like nails and things. So he's a really good guy. And then Dan, Blacksmith Dan, is also another great blacksmith here on Twitch. There's a few more of us like here and there, so you should definitely take a look. I just found a new glass blowing guy yesterday. Another interesting thing to watch. Yes, glass blowing is so much fun. There are several glass blowers here on Twitch as well. Valencia Glass. Then there is, who's on right now? There's a couple other ones. Glen Echo Glass is another glass blower here. And then I'm pretty sure there's one more, and I always forget. Let's see if I can't find him in my list. It might be that Glen Echo Glass is my buddy, and then has changed their name. That sounds pretty. I think that's what happened. I'm not a blacksmith myself. I find the process fascinating to watch. I love blacksmithing. It is so fun to do. It's very relaxing. It's kind of very ASMR. So I appreciate the fact that you guys enjoy watching. It looks like we're going to get an ad starting here soon. So I will make sure that we do not, or that I don't do a heat while the ad is going so you guys can all watch. Ooh, hopefully that didn't get metal in it. The unfortunate thing about eating and drinking in the shop is that there is constantly metal dust floating around here. So if it's not in the air, it's on the ground. So I can't, and it's on my hands, it's everywhere. All right, while the ad is going, what I'm gonna do is I am going to move our camera here back over to the press. And I'm gonna see that and maintain my actual stream. It looks like it's working. Okay, cool. I was having issues where it was not allowing me to keep the visual on the stream. All right, let's see if I can't make this go like that. Awesome. And we are in focus. Excellent. So yeah, for whatever reason, I was having some issues with the wide camera, not wanting to project what was going on through it on the screen. So I'm glad that it's gotten it, or that I've gotten it all fixed up. All right, and our ads are over. So let's see about getting back to the press and see if we can't move some more metal. Is working again. We need a smush emote for it. Exactly. Ooh, that's a good idea for an emote. We definitely need a smush emote. So what are we thinking for a smush emote? Are we thinking maybe, you know, a video of the press going down and smushing the steel, or are we thinking more like a picture of the press with like the word smush, or how are we thinking we want to do this? I'm up for ideas. I've got a little bit of time to do some emotes this week because I've gotten a lot of editing done this week. A video gift to match all of the others. Ooh, that would be fun. I think I have 2 more video emotes unlocked right now. When I get a little bit bigger, when our community grows a little bit more, we'll be able to get a few more of those video emotes. And I also do have another 10 video emote slots, but those are for tier 2 and 3. We don't have anybody who's subscribing at 2 or 3 yet, so I'm a little bit leery on wanting to make those just yet. Is looking for new blacksmiths. Let's see, Firehound Forge. Let's see. I will go into my phone. Actually, yeah. Here, actually, you know what? It's just as easy to do it on my computer. We're gonna look for, what was that name again? Firehound Forge. Let's see. No results. Oh, that's because I spelled it completely wrong. Interesting. It says, my name is Dan Goodwin. I'm a historian turned traditional blacksmith, and I run Firehound Forge. This is the United Kingdom's beautiful West Midlands. Split my time between smithing at markets, teaching forge work, commissioning work, and drinking good cider. More courtesy of Green Forge Studio and FMA. We're gonna follow him, and I'm gonna shout him out. The stream's getting a bit choppy. Oh, I'm sorry. There we go, yes. Check out all of the blacksmiths. Let's see, do they have a schedule, maybe? Let's see, what do we got? And then once that happens, I will turn off Twitch because I think that might be interfering maybe just a little bit. I don't actually see a schedule. Let's see. I think it says the last time they streamed was 3 months ago. So maybe they're taking a hiatus. Stuck in buffer. Technical difficulties again. I'm so sorry, guys. Is it any better? I killed out the extra Twitch, so hopefully it's a little bit better. I think I'm back. I'm sorry about that, guys. I think my computer was struggling to load in the page when I was trying to kind of get a schedule done, or a schedule for Firehound Forge. Am I back though? I hope so. Excellent. Refresh worked for me. That got weird. I'm sorry, guys. I will remember that next time. Don't open up extra tabs of Twitch because it will interfere with my stream. I will have to look people up after stream. I'll remember that. I'm sorry, guys. All right. If everybody is back, let's do another heat. We're gonna do that at the press. and I kind of want to compare this, these two pieces together. So we're really getting close. A little bit more length and a little bit more thinness. But we are definitely getting there. I'm very excited. What was I about to say? Oh, when I was doing the press, or when I was at the press, I had another idea for an emote. And I think it would be funny to compare the press with, like, the newspaper, maybe. So maybe take it to the press. That might be a fun emote to do. That one doesn't necessarily have to be a video emote, though, I think. It looks like I lost a lot of people. Am I still buffering, maybe? That might have happened. But it's all right. More people will come back. Awesome. Nope, all good here. Excellent. I'm excited. Or I'm glad that everything is working out now for everybody. All right, let's see. So we're getting a lot of length in our necks, or in our reins on this new piece of, or on this piece of steel. So we're getting really close to where I'll be happy with the length and the width of those. And then I'm going to be putting a new piece of steel in for the other side here shortly. Heat it, baby, one more time. Interesting. Britney Spears puns? That could be interesting. I think I'm only allowed 15 frames for an animated emote, but we could totally do something like that. Aberrant Kitsune, thank you so much for that follow. And with that, we have reached 150 followers. We are growing. That is so exciting. Thank you so much for that follow. Hello from another Smith. I love meeting new Smiths. Welcome in. Welcome in. Exciting. I'm trying to create a good community, or like a large community of crafters and blacksmiths and enthusiasts, so that we can all connect and create community together. So I am so grateful and so happy to get new followers and new friends. Aberrant Kitsune, Agent Smith. Maybe. So we need to wait a little bit longer, and we'll probably do 2 or 3 more heats on this particular side of the tongs. And then I'll start putting the other piece of steel into the forge to get that started heating up. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to maybe this weekend finishing putting the shop back, or putting the shop together, or rearranging the shop, because it will be so nice to be able to open up the garage door. I keep thinking that maybe I should be able to do it, but there's so much light out there that my face is already blown out. It's worse when I open up the garage door. I get really awfully backlit. So I'm really looking forward to this weekend. Stoned Metal, thank you so much for the gifted sub. Excellent. Thank you so much. What's up? Always glad to see, or stoked to see you at it. Exactly. I'm so glad to be here. And thank you for that gift sub, Stone Metal. Let's see. Buffering again. I did see that I've got like a weird dip in my bandwidth. That's kind of weird. Like I said, we might start having a little bit of issues because the wind is whipping along. The wind is at a similar pace to what it was on Friday. I'm really hoping that it doesn't completely cut the stream, and if it does, I greatly apologize. I'm trying, or like, it's not something I could really do anything about. I wish I could. What style of tongs are you working on? Right now, I'm working on a second set of bolt tongs, well, a third set of bolt tongs. So these are a set of bolt tongs. These ones are specifically sized for 5/8 inch stock, which is the size of stock that I'm using for this new set of tongs, right? So this is, you know, a relatively tight grip on these tongs. They're not going anywhere. But when I start drawing these out, and so like this new piece, or the piece that's in the meta, or in the forge right now, when I flip that around to kind of start working on the jaws of the tongs, I'm gonna have to swap tongs, right? Because it won't fit in here securely anymore. And I have a second set, which is right here, but these guys are sized for 1/4 inch stock. And they're also a little bit too big for a taper. So the goal is to create a set of tongs that doesn't have a specific size, like a set of universal tongs. I have these tongs right here, right now, and they're kind of my universal bolt tongs right now because they're streaming. Haha! I think I'm back. Hey, look, I'm back. So sorry about that, guys. For once in my life, I was able to come back up. I'm not sure how long I'm going to be back up. Hopefully, we'll be able to finish the stream. For the Fiddle says, I am back. Excellent. Thank you for letting me know. Sometimes when I kill OBS, because when my internet drops, OBS loses connection to Twitch. And a lot of times when I close it out and reopen it, it won't connect until I like reload my full computer. I'll have to cycle its power. And sometimes it just never connects again. So I'm really glad that we were able to come back so quickly this time. I apologize for the instability of our stream today. Friday is supposed to be a lot better. Hopefully, we'll be back in full swing tomorrow. But like I said, the wind is whipping through, and we have a cable internet. And so when it starts blowing as hard as it is, some of our cables are above ground, and they'll start whipping around, and it'll get a little bit weak, or like our signal will get really weak, and we'll have internet, but not enough internet to stream with. I'm gonna wait a couple more minutes just to make sure that we stay up, and then I will do another heat. Refresh, yes, refresh. We is back. We is back. So let's see. I think because we are back, I think our ads are gonna get a little bit screwy. We're having 31-mile-per-hour gusts too. Yeah, the wind is just whipping out there. I have a Dodge color, or not a Dodge. I used to have a Dodge Dakota, but right now I have a Chevy Colorado, another state name. But yeah, I went over to get a new propane tank, and when I was driving, I could feel the wind jostling the cabin of the truck. And I mean, my truck is not that, or it's not that light, you know? I don't have issues with it whipping around the road like that. So yeah, if we crash again, I apologize. I'm hoping that we're gonna stabilize a little bit, but I don't really want to like crash out and then come back and have like a million little notifications that I'm live and stuff. So if we're not stable enough, or if we don't stabilize, I'll probably end stream a little bit early today, and I apologize for that. But I don't want to have to keep having you like refresh the stream over and over. So we'll do the best we can. Like I said, Friday is supposed to be a much nicer day. All right, so it looks like we have stabilized a bit. So I am going to do that heat now. So back to this one. Tool. Yes, it is, Ping. It is amazing. I love this press. It makes things a lot easier. It takes a lot less stamina to get more work done. Welcome in, guys. Thank you so much for sticking around with me with all of the instability. Well, I'm glad that the sound is a lot better than it has been. the air compressor, it gets really, really loud. So it's even more important to have my headphones on and to have that background noise cancellation on the audio. When I was watching the VOD from Monday, it didn't feel like it was too loud. And so I am really excited about that. I was really worried that we were going to have major issues because it was so loud. But I'm happy to have found that it's not as loud as I imagined that it was. I'm still working on getting a new setup for the lav mic's receiver. And I should theoretically have that this weekend. A lot of the stuff that we had to deal with this last weekend, we should be able to do the stuff that we were supposed to do. And so hopefully we'll be able to make it over to Micro Center and get the adapter that I need so that I can plug in the receiver to the lav mic directly into the laptop, so that way the sound is consistent between both of the cameras. So yeah, I'm really excited. And like I said, Friday we might actually be streaming, rearranging the shop. There is a chance of that since my partner will be home and I need his help to kind of help me move the forge and the anvil and stuff. Like, I can move the anvil on my own, but it's really, really heavy, and I have a tendency to kind of use all of my stamina for the day when I have to, like, move both the anvil and the stand. And not to mention that the forge itself is a little bit on the heavy side. When I'm moving the forge, I actually have an engine hoist that I use to move it. So that's always really interesting. We have to kind of tip it up and then cradle it inside of a sling and lift it with the engine hoist, and then we can move it wherever we need to go. So that's always an entertaining thing to watch. So hopefully I can stream that for you on Friday. Man, that wind is whipping out there. I keep hearing the screen door slamming shut. I wish that, or I need to change the handle and the latch on that door so it won't flap open like that. Alrighty. I'm gonna do one more heat on this guy, and then I'm gonna take the other piece of steel. Well, you know what? I'll do that now. Let's put this other piece of steel in the forge and get that to start heating up. Woohoo! Welcome in, Mound of Meat. Isn't that a great emote? I think that's actually my favorite of the emotes I've made so far. I love that emote. Always fun to have a miniature explosion every day. All right, let's do another heat. Maybe one day I will do this without accidentally hitting the trackpad on my laptop. straighten it out just a little bit. All right, so what I'm gonna do next is I am gonna put this back into the forge, and I wanna really straighten out a lot of these, like these faces. There's still that crinkle cut, the crinkle cuts, the raised areas, and I would definitely like to flatten those faces out a bit. All right. My microphone is kind of getting all twisty in my shirt. Let me move the magnet around. That way everybody can hear me. I have this tendency, like my lav mic gets all twisty in my shirt, and then it's all muffled when I speak. Alrighty, let's see. I think, yeah. Do I want to move the camera now, or do I want to leave it? I think I'm going to move the camera back to the anvil real fast. There we go. And it has done its autofocus thing. So it should be nice and a bit, or like in focus on the anvil face. And we're going to do a little bit of flattening out on that first half of the tongs while we are waiting for the second half to heat up. And I think what I might actually do during that is I might actually start recording both of the cameras, because that's another step that I need to have some shots of for my YouTube video, that we're going to do another YouTube video of this set of bolt tongs. All right. It looks like we've got plenty of heat, so we are gonna try those faces. Flattening them out. And we're gonna do another heat of that at least. It might not be a whole heat, or I mean, it probably won't be the last heat, but we are gonna do at least one more heat on that. It's getting really warm in here. It was like in the 70s when I came out here, and just a little bit on the colder side inside the shop, because it was keeping a little bit of that cool air in here. And now that I got the forge going, it's ridiculously warm. Must start sweating if I'm not careful. It's not ladylike to sweat. one of my nice blacksmithing shirts on. Let's see. I'll show you. So it's a Repair Day shirt, and this is one of the shirts that I got when I went to the Metals Museum in Memphis, Tennessee. It's right on the river, right across the bridge from Kansas, or no, it's Kentucky, not Kansas. And it is such a beautiful location. They are a completely working forge. A lot of it's smithy and casting facility. They also do a lot of repair work for jewelry and silversmithing and things like that. Anything metal, they'll repair it. And they also do commission work. And that is where I learned a lot of my blacksmithing skills. Every year they have several different classes. Sometimes they're week-long classes, sometimes they're just for the weekend. And so they're very intense courses. So I spent about a week, or I guess 2 weeks at 2 different times, one in the spring and one in the fall. And I used to go and intensively learn how to blacksmith. And that's where I got my skills from. Yeah. So it's one of those things where when you go into an intensive study of something, sometimes you learn things or things get thrown your way that are a little bit over your depth. Stuff that you don't quite understand yet, but as you continue working at it and continue learning and growing and practicing, you start actually understanding things that you didn't understand before. So I am always looking for more advanced techniques in anything that I do to try and, because as I keep learning, I'm able to understand much more techniques and I get more ability. So you get the knowledge hammered in, but yes, exactly, Sandwich. Dad jokes for all. So yes, but yeah, and I mean, there are lovely people there, and I was able to supplement what I learned at the Metals Museum with people around me from like the Illinois, or like the Northern Illinois Association or Blacksmith Association, and a little bit from the Missouri Blacksmith Association. And it's just been a lot of fun learning blacksmithing. And yeah, learning and growing. All right, I'm gonna turn on the record function on my cameras, and we're gonna do one more or another heat. And I'm kind of gonna talk about it a little bit. We're almost there. I'm actually pretty thrilled with that. And I think that we're gonna, on our next heat, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take those corners off, kind of round out the reins. Like right here, you can kind of see that these are more faceted and rounded than what we've got going here. And that's kind of to make it a little bit more comfortable to hang on to in your hands. So yeah, next heat we are going to round out the corners and make sure that it's pleasant to hold on to these two tongs. So once we're done with that, I'm probably going to allow the first half to cool down so we can kind of take a look at what we've done and make sure that there's nothing like really glaringly obviously wrong with it. And then we're gonna start working on the second half of our tongs. And because tongs are two separate pieces of steel that are riveted together, we're going to be wanting to make two identical pieces of the tongs. So we've got one half, we've got the reins all nice and drawn out on one half. So we're gonna start drawing down the reins on the second half. And that's probably going to take us the rest of this session. And then again, it's going to take us another full session to draw down those reins and shape them so that they are exactly the same as our current set. They are now thin enough that it's taking a lot less time to heat up the material on the reins that we've drawn out. And that is always good. Now, normally, I actually look at my time streamed to kind of give me a guideline of how long I've been streaming. And today, I'm going to actually have to look at the clock for once. I usually try and stream for about 2.5 to 3 hours. So now I'm going to have to look at the clock and be like, I want to end stream around 4:30, 5 o'clock my time. I'm central, so it's going to be a little bit more challenging. The drains, reins. I am thinking I'm missing a word here. Reins. So reins with an R. R-E-I-N-S. So like a horse reins. So basically, the handle section of a set of tongs is called reins. Very similar to like a horse or like a divining rod for like finding water. They call them reins. R-E-I-N-S. Like a horse. Learned one English word today. Never heard of that before. So it's kind of more like blacksmith jargon than an actual like word. Reins is an English word, but it is more associated with the leather strap that you use when you're riding a horse. So you got the horse with the bit inside of its mouth, like the metal section, and then it has all of the like strapping around its face and the back of its head. And then outside, or like in the leather strap that comes out of the bit, and so you can like direct your horse. That's called reins. And for whatever reason, blacksmiths have always called the handles of their tongs reins. Yep, that is what Diepel gives me, Zagul in German. Yeah. So it's kind of interesting the way the blacksmiths refer. And I really think that it's partially due to the fact that farrier is the language of farriers is very entwined with the language of blacksmiths. So people who put horseshoes on horses. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the corners off and start rounding out the handle. start hammering the second corner, or the opposite corner. We've got a little bit of twisting going on, so we're going to have to correct that as we go. And now that we have 8 facets on these handles, what we're going to do is we're going to start taking all of the facets off of here and rounding the whole thing out. And this is going to draw it out just a little bit further. We're probably going to gain maybe about 1/4 to 1/2 inch while we're doing this. Welcome in, Christy S. We are working on a set of tongs, as it says in the description, I guess. The verb zulgen is to rein, also figuratively used to tame, as in taming oneself, to hold oneself back. Yeah, we have a phrase very similar to that in English, where you rein yourself in, right? So if you are, going a little bit crazy or working a little bit too hard or a little bit too excited, people will tell you to rein yourself in, or hold your horses is another version of that, where it's like if you start something and somebody's like, oh, don't start that right now, they'll tell you to hold your horses. That's kind of also, or like another type of way to like talk about that is to, if you're holding your horses, they're telling you to be stable, as opposed to overly excited. Weird idioms in English. Again, what learned to say in Danglish. Yeah, that also works in English. So yeah, I love learning things about the German language. There's a lot of Germans in our community, and I do actually look forward to learning as much as I can about your culture and your language. I am sure that every time I attempt to read out the words that you've typed out, that I am butchering them totally. But I do love learning them. So it looks like our propane tank is starting to slow down. We're getting a little bit less pressure. I think we have a little bit longer to go before I'm gonna need to change it. But every time I say that, it happens, or like I end up having to change them a lot quicker than I had originally anticipated. So we'll see, we'll see. All right. So let's see about rolling the reins a little bit, taking off all of the edges. just a little bit. We should just be able to handle that for a bit and use this as a template for the other side that we are going to start drawing out. So yeah, I'm actually really liking that. So we're gonna put this over here on the swage block and allow it to kind of cool off a bit. Then we will use it to compare. Interestingly, you get the ooh, mostly right, which is usually rather challenging for English native speakers. Yeah, I try. I mean, I know specifically that that's not the sound that I think it is. So when I attempt, I always try something, and sometimes I feel like it's a different attempt every time. But I do my best. I feel like it is, well, I don't feel like, it is very important for me to get people's names correct and like the pronunciation. It's very important to me because I feel like it's a small way that I can respect people. So I want to make sure that like I get that pronunciation correctly, and it's very important to me. So I think that kind of helps a little bit. At least I hope it does. So I think that wait, let me flip my clips real fast. But I think that we're all right for the moment on, actually, you know what, instead of putting that there, what I need to do is I need to bring the other camera back over to the press. We'll get some more shots of the new half. So lovely, very excited. I always end up drinking so much water when I'm streaming. By the end of the stream, I have to go to the bathroom so badly. That's why I always end up streaming and running. Might feel weird as an English th sound, or feels for German. Probably the th sound is a very weird sound, even for native English speakers at first. When little kids are starting to learn how to speak, a lot of them just can't get that th sound. So a lot of times they'll do like a F sound, or there's a few other variations that oftentimes get used. Sometimes it's more like a W sound, wha. And it's an interesting thing to study. My sister studied linguistics in college, and she used to come back from college from her classes because we lived in the same house at the time, since we were both going to the same school. And she'd tell me all about the different things that she was learning about with early language development skills. And that was a really interesting tidbit that I took away. All right. So we've got plenty of heat on that new piece of steel. So I'm going to kind of explain what we're about to do, and then we're going to go over to the press, and then we're going to do it. So we are going to start at the tip of the new piece of steel, and we are going to squish it down on one side, all along the length of the piece of steel. And we kind of want to leave ourselves about the length here, maybe a little bit further of room, so that we can draw out the round circle bolt section and the jaws of these tongs. And we're going to start tapering that rein down from that like longer side of the material. And it's going to create a natural taper because as we feed the material through, the heat will start dissipating from the material. And so we'll get a lot more squishing in the front on the end than we will towards the tongs. So it creates a taper effect. And that's exactly what we want to do. That's exactly what we get on the anvil face. So I find it really interesting how that works. So here we go. If I can pick it out of the forge, that is. Come on. There we go. Much more better. Try to close that up a bit so I don't leak too much heat. All right, here we go. People make that sound of an S, no, a G, which is considered a speech defect and tried to train kids out of it. Then in English class, you're supposed to do exactly that. Nimbits, did I get a new jack? I did get a new jack. It was, the fund for that was donated by Mahalo. And so we are grateful for that. We are able to use our press again. It's so exciting. Hey, Dan, welcome in. Heyo, and sorry I missed that part. Hi, Dan. How are you doing? Doing okay. Excellent. But yes, we got a brand new press. And like I said, the funding was given to us by Mahalo, who is a longtime member of our community, and I want to thank him again. We have an unboxing of the new press, or the new bottle jack, up on YouTube, and so you can take a look at it if you feel like it, but it made a pretty decent video. So yeah, we get to play with it now. We've had it for, I think I had it installed on Sunday, so we got to play with it on Monday, and we're back at it today. So I'm really excited. It's working beautifully. It's a little bit slow on my taste, but I really think that that's because it's, you know, it's just a pneumatic bottle jack. I think that the old one was relatively slow as well, so it's not the bottle jack or the press's fault. I think it's just the design. It's kind of a little bit makeshift, but overall it's working beautifully and we're getting a lot of work out of it. So I'm really excited and happy about that. And it kind of speeds up as we forge. So I feel like when the hydraulic fluid starts flowing through the bottle jack, it starts speeding up. So I think I might need to warm it up before stream a little bit. But overall, it is so much better than hand hammering everything all the time. It takes so much effort, so much stamina to hand hammer everything all the time. And I don't have the ability right now to have a power hammer. So the press, it makes things a lot easier for me. I love it. Thank you. All right. So we gotta wait for that piece to heat up. And it is slowing down a little bit. It's not too bad. I don't need to change the propane just yet, but shortly. It does what it wants. It's called freedom of the press. Sorry. It is freedom of the press, man. I still think, take it to the press would be a really great emote. I really want to do that one. So I think that I might try and see what I can put together. Both that and a video of the press. And we'll see if I can't put those together as emotes for you guys. It does what the Smith wants, so that's a controlled press. It is a very controlled press. It makes it, it is a lot easier for me to feed the material into the press than a lot of power hammers I've used in the past. I am a really small person and I'm really short. So I know that the scaling in here isn't exactly the best, but I'm only about 5'5", and so a lot of Smiths, when they have power hammers, they set them up for much taller people. And so when I'm on a power hammer, I'm sitting here and my leg is all the way up here and I'm trying to balance on one leg while feeding the material through. And it's just a giant disaster and it's messy and I hate it. But this, it's so easy to feed that material through. Did you look up the BAM event info? I did look up the BAM info. Yeah, I looked at their website. I also looked at their tailgate page. Some of the stuff that they're selling, I mean, they're relatively old posts, but there were some really cool things. I think somebody was selling a plasma cutter, and I swear, if for a really reasonable price, and if it wasn't from 2023, I would have looked it up. You can always make a platform for it. Yeah, I could make a platform for it, but it's not my home shop, so it's kind of one of those where then I would definitely put a platform there so that it would make it easier for me to use. But a lot of, most of the power hammers that I go to in other people's shops, they're at different heights. So it would be difficult for me to create a step in the correct size every time, if that makes sense. We'll hope to see you at the event in May. I would love to go. I'm not sure. I don't see any reason why I wouldn't be able to get there. The only thing, or the only issue I would have is I have to figure out if it is close enough that I would need, or that I wouldn't need accommodations. So that's the only thing. I have to figure out if I need accommodations or not to get there. Because driving 5 hours, or I guess it's more 3 hours, 3 to 4 hours in one, or twice in one day, it takes a toll on my body. My parents live about 4 hours north of here, and I can't do both, or go up and down in the same day. So once I get the logistics taken care of, we'll see if I can make sure that it happens. I would love to go. Back in our school, we had a plank next to it. That makes sense. So we had one foot on the ground and the other on the plank and use it like a gas pedal. Exactly. That's how a lot of people I've seen have done it. But I just am always too short. So I don't know, maybe I just need to like stack planks together. You know, bring myself some like 2x4s or 2x6s and just start stacking them so that I can reach it. Yeah. So yeah, I really want to go to the BAM event. But like I said, I have to figure out accommodations or if I even need them at all. And it would also help if my partner came too, but I don't know if he'll be able to. So a lot of times I just go to blacksmithing events on my own. But I always like bringing my partner a little bit more because it makes me feel a little bit safer overall, since I'm kind of a small lady. I'm always safe at the event. It's just rest stops and like, you know, getting there that makes me nervous. I just need my portable plank. Exactly. All right. So we've got plenty of heat. We can do another heat. We're going to turn the material 90 degrees and press on the other side. So from doing the vertical, we're going to do the horizontal. Yeah. All right. Let's do this. Man, I gotta stop stealing Dirty's phrases. Maybe he doesn't mind. So we're gonna come over here to the anvil and kind of brush this off a little bit. It looks like we're getting some scale developing. So I'm gonna make sure that that doesn't become a problem. There we go. Just bring your hammer, a self-defense hammer. Exactly, right? I always tell my partner that the only weapon I ever need is this guy right here, you know? And he's always like, that one is really short range. We need to get you something longer range. Even a light hammer is a lethal weapon. What is the smith with the star or in the Star Wars universe? Light hammers? Yeah. Light hammers, light or anvils, no forge needed. Well, even the blacksmith, like the Mandalorian blacksmith, she has a forge. The way she blacksmiths is kind of odd though, because it's kind of like she melts the metal in that jet engine forge and then kind of casts it and hammers it like once or twice and then she's done. And I think that's a little bit weird, although I'm a little bit jealous because, I mean, you know, it would be nice to be done very quick with some of my jobs. But I mean, at the same time, blacksmithing itself is just so soothing. It's got such repetitive motion. It's like very zen. Or it's got a zen quality to it. So you just get into the zone and you just like hammer and it's like muscle memory and you can just kind of, you know, meditate. It's almost a meditation. That's because the film people don't know how to blacksmith. Yeah, exactly. And she does do more casting than blacksmithing. And I mean, I do casting too, but I don't cast steel. I just don't have the facilities to put together the correct alloys. So at some point in the future, I don't know how soon, so don't really like, you know, don't expect it within the next like year. But there is a chance that we could do some casting on this channel at some point. I have done bronze, I've done aluminum, I've done sterling silver, and I've also done iron. That's not something that I'm going to be able to do here. When I do iron, that's down in Memphis. If I end up going to Memphis this year, I'll definitely see about taking some video of the iron pour, at least if I'm not in it. When I'm in it, I don't really get to take much in the way of video. I don't think I can do it, though. It takes a lot of stamina and strength in order to do an iron pour, because you kind of, it's a giant furnace, and you melt all, or like you mix iron and coke and or in together in like 50-pound bags, and you pour them all in there, and it melts. The coke burns and the iron melts, and it flows down the cupola, is what they call it. And then once you tap that cupola, the iron just keeps pouring out, and it never stops until you run out of iron. So what you do is you have two-person teams. Sometimes you have three two-person teams, but you know, when one person is full, the next person comes and picks up all of the iron so that you don't lose any material. It is a giant undertaking, and it's definitely not something that we can do here, but we could definitely do pewter or sterling silver, bronze or aluminum here. I have some facilities that we could put that together at some point in the future. Have you ever worked with a lot of Beskar? Then maybe that's how you work that metal. Yes. Do you ever get irritated when in films they go cauterize wounds and they warm up a knife to 800 degrees Celsius, very least on a campfire? I mean, yeah, definitely. It is kind of like weird seeing that red hot steel just from a campfire. I mean, you can get a decent amount of heat from a campfire, but you definitely can't get it that red hot. You're probably going to get it more to a black heat, maybe a dark purple, but you're really, what you're doing is you're taking the temper out of your blade. So after you do that, your blade's going to be useless. It's never going to get sharp again unless you retemper it. So yeah, I do find it a little bit irritating because it's just, I mean, it's movie magic, and I understand, you know, the suspension of disbelief. It's the same with like necklaces. You know, when a character has a necklace and they want to take it off, instead of messing with the clasp, they just rip it off and throw it away. And I'm just like, that would hurt so bad because, I mean, the clasps, they're you know, that too. It will be sharp, but it will be dull very fast. Exactly. So I don't know. There's a part of me that is irritated by it, and another part of me that's just like, that's just movie magic. You know, it's suspension of disbelief, and you know, it's like when you shoot into water and like all of those really weird things that they busted on Mythbusters. You know, a lot of blacksmithing in movies is very much like that. And there are some really great movies out there that do have beautiful examples of blacksmithing. Like the movie Kingdom of Heaven has some amazing blacksmithing in that movie, and some swordsmithing. If you haven't seen that movie, you should. It's got Orlando Bloom in it. I make sure to insult my knives all the time just to keep their temper. I mean, it shows the heat for people who don't know better. Exactly, yeah. So, I mean, it is what it is, you know? All right, we're gonna do another heat. Welcome in, everybody. It looks like we've got about 20 people in right now, which is absolutely amazing. And I'm struggling with this piece. I mean, it shows, okay, let's see, where am I in the comments? Just like with everything, movies, it creates unrealistic expectations. Exactly, it really does. How long was the stock when you started and what was the thickness? Okay, so this was a 5/8 inch thick piece of stock. And I started with it being about 8 inches long. So when I had the other one, I kind of compared it. Let's see, do I have an extra one laying around? Raw. Let's see. So a little bit longer than this guy. This guy is about, this is the fork that we made on stream. And if you measure that, it's just under 8 inches. So it's kind of about that, kind of. And then this guy right here is a piece of 5/8 inch stock. So this guy is about 3 inches. So if you stacked 2 and a part of this together, you'd get 8 inches. So yeah, it was a 5/8 inch piece of stock, just like this guy, and 8 inches in length. Ugh. So if I come over to the piece we already made, this is our, half of our tongs. If I take the tape measure and measure that, we are up to about 14 inches. So we grew about 6 inches. So that's really cool. Ugh. All right. So it was 5/8 inch. 5/8 inch square. 5/8 inch square, and it was 8 inches long. The camera adds at least an inch. Does it now? I mean, I know that the camera adds about 10 pounds. I mean, I guess you could probably, use that old adage. That's what she said. Sorry, couldn't help. You have to sleep, Sandwich? Well, thank you for joining us. Have a lovely sleep and, have a good night. We'll see you later. I keep doing that. I have, like, when I set up my anvil, what I really like to do is I like to take my hammer and, like, put it parallel to the face of the anvil, and I like to put my tongs perpendicular along the face of the anvil. And this kind of sets up the anvil so that everything is within reach. So I can pick up the tongs, go get the steel, bring it back over to the face of the anvil, pick up my hammer, and get going. I don't have to lose any heat from, you know, the distance and waiting to figure out where my hammer is. A lot of times I'll lose my hammer if I don't actually have my anvil set up like this, and I will just be like, where's my hammer? And then by the time I find it, I've lost all my heat. So it's very, very important to set up your anvil or set up your workspace so that you can conserve heat and energy. So it looks like we have an ad starting soon. Oh, I can relate. Yeah, it's like every time I'm constantly losing tools. Like some of our viewers can, you know, can tell the story of how I lost my multi-tool for like a couple days. And eventually I was able to find it, and now it's in my pocket, but I lost it for like 3 days. This guy right here, this is the best multi-tool ever. I mean, look at that. Look at that action. One-handed. It's so convenient for welding. It's like you get a stray piece of welding wire, and all you got to do is pull your multi-tool out of your pocket, shink, and you're ready to clip it. So duct tape it to my hand. Ray's hammer hands. Yes. We get duct tape one to this hand and one to this hand, and I'll just, like, you know, wander around the shop with my stuff, and I never have to find them again because, or, you know, if I ever lose a limb, I'll just, you know, instead of getting a prosthetic, I will put tongs and a hammer in there. Even with the racks I have, I still keep misplacing them and wonder where the hell I put them. Exactly. It's like, you know, if you don't put things back where they go, or like in the exact same place every time, it's just, I never remember where anything is. So over here, I have a workbench. That's the workbench that I have a Beverly shear on and my chop saw. And I have this habit of just, like, anything I don't want on my anvil face or over here, I just shove it all over there. So it's impossible to find anything over there. I really need to clean it up. And that is partly why I'm going to rearrange my shop, because that is the best way to find the tools that you've lost, is to rearrange your shop, right? This is why I have like 10 tape measures. Exactly. So I have a tape measure, it's over there, and I have another one that's actually sitting over there. And the one that's sitting over there is actually supposed to be in my woodworking shop. I have a woodworking shop in the basement of my house. And so I've got like a chop saw, or I mean, I guess it's a miter saw, not a chop saw. And I've got all my woodworking tools in the basement. And that tape measure is supposed to live down there, but it's been floating around the house and the shop. And right now it's like way over there. And I think that the next time I want it for my woodworking, it's going to be really hard to find. I try to put my hammer I intend to use on the anvil, so or same with the tongs. But sometimes I put the tongs next to the forge, and then I get confused because I forgot. Exactly. I tend not to put my tongs over by the forge, though, because they just get hot, and I don't want that. All right. So, yeah. Okay. I am going to do another heat. We've got plenty of heat. solution to get another set of tongs and repeat. Exactly, man. Chaotic Doll 95, welcome in. Also, hi. I also have what I call a horizontal surface disease. That is the worst, man. Horizontal surface disease. It's the worst in the house, though. Every time I'm coming in from like getting groceries or like doing whatever errands I need to run, I have a tendency to put things on the counter because the door I come in is like the one that leads into the kitchen. So everything just goes on the counter. So there's just this section where it's just a dumping zone. Yeah, if there's a horizontal surface on my shop, I will clutter it. Exactly, man, exactly. How so? If you have enough tongs for each forge, you won't take them from the anvil. I'm fairly certain I have undiagnosed ADHD, so it makes sense. Yeah, sometimes I think I have a little bit of that myself. So ordinarily, I make sure that when I am done using a set of tongs, I put it back where it goes. So I have an anvil and tong rack over here, and so all of my anvil, or all of my hammers and tongs go over there immediately after I take them off of the anvil, just so that I always know where they are and I don't lose them. And there are just certain tools that I'm actually able to place back, but then there's other tools that they never make it to their homes. And yeah, they never make it home. Let's see. So essentially, I don't have enough good tongs. I mean, tongs are one of the, those projects. You can never have enough tongs. I don't care if your entire shop is lined with tongs. You can never have enough of them. When I was making commissions or doing commission work before I got sick, I would make a brand new set of tongs for every project I did. So if I was going to make a piece of furniture, I would make a set of tongs specifically for that piece of furniture. So that way, I could guarantee have a good and secure hold on every piece that I make. Because it's so much better and easier to work with when the metal isn't like moving around in my tongs. So I feel like it is much better to make a new set of tongs than deal with that. So that's why we're making a set of tongs right now, because I need just a set of regular universal tongs. I like the bolt tong style, so that's what we're doing. But what we're gonna do is just put in some V grooves so that it doesn't matter what size the stock is, as long as it has, corners or, some sort of facets in it, it'll be securely held in this set of tongs. I have a different set of universal V groove tongs, and that's these. And I loved these. For the longest time, I used the living snot out of them, but they're really old. They're one of the first projects I ever made as a blacksmith, and so they jiggle. The rivet isn't tight anymore, and I just can't tighten it any further. So I want to retire this set and make a new set. And so that's what we are doing. Yes. All right. Got a couple more heats in this propane tank, and I think it's starting to get late enough that once this guy freezes over, I'm probably going to end the stream, because we're getting towards our time. I'm not entirely sure when because I know that we had a break in our stream. I think there was maybe 2 breaks, but anyway. We are going to, or I can't really tell when, but I do look at the clock and I see it's almost 4 o'clock. So yeah. Yeah, I made most of my tongs. They wiggle too much. Exactly. These tongs, they're still very, very secure. They don't wiggle around anymore. These tongs I made in November, and they've done a beautiful job for me. And this was the first project I did when I came back after recovering, or I guess not recovering per se, but when I wanted to train myself to come back out to the shop again. This was the first project I did was this set of tongs. And I really liked the design, so I really want to make another set. Grind out the last rivet and replace it with a larger rivet. I really should, and maybe I will eventually, but I mean, it was another excuse to play with the press and make another set of tongs, because you can never have enough. All right, let's do another heat. Another heat, another heat. Did I do this? And I'm going to come over here to the anvil, and I'm going to kind of try and straighten this out a bit. We're getting a lot of curvature in our piece, and that comes from the fact that the jaws of my press are not lined up 100%. So it has a tendency to kind of curve our pieces. Periodically, you have to take it over to the face of the anvil and straighten it out so that we don't stretch it in weird places. We'll need an even taper. Did that with my scrolling tongs. I just need to finish the job, and I think I need to quench the rivet side too, because otherwise too thin. So maybe I can get hardness to handle the stress. Yeah, rivets can be really difficult. I was lucky. We did a set of scrolling tongs a couple weeks ago, and I lucked out in that I was able to kind of judge the size of the rivet when I made it almost perfectly the first time. Usually what happens is I'll make my rivets either too long or too short. And like when I make them too long, then I put them in the tongs and then they start bending and they'll like bend inside the tong hole. And then it'll like, they won't line up correctly and they'll be all wobbly. So I have to drill those out, or like, you know, cut out the edge and like drill them out. Or I'll make it too short and then there's just no head left. And that's kind of what happened with the universal tongs that I'm trying to replace. So it's kind of, you got to have that happy medium with your rivets so that you have enough material that you can create good heads on the, you know, upset good heads on the sides, but not too much where it bends in the middle of the rivet and offsets your tongs. So I find that rivets are difficult. I think that tenons are a lot easier for me to do than rivets are. And tenons are basically you build a rivet into a piece of stock, or I guess whatever you're trying to rivet down. Instead of creating a rivet, or like a true rivet, you're kind of affixing one to the end that is made with the same bar as your piece that you're trying to install. So yeah, let's see, what else? We're starting to lose some pressure in our propane because it's starting to freeze a little bit. This guy is a little on the lower side. I figured I'd get a pretty long amount of our stream today out of it, but I did actually purchase a new tank of propane today so that we could continue, but it's starting to get a little bit on the late side. So I think when this propane tank gives out, that's when I'm going to end the stream. And I'll probably get about 2 or 3 more heats in before that happens. And then we'll raid off to another creator. Oftentimes Johnson is streaming around this time, so I really like raiding him. I also like raiding some of the glass blowers, so like Valencia, a couple other people. And so we'll see who's around when we get there. If anybody has any suggestions for who to raid, let me know. I am always up for learning about new creators. So we are about to do one more heat, and I think I'm going to do one more after that. Okay. So my scrolling tongs are made out of 80 CRB, but basically I can quench the rivet platform to handle more pressure because it's hardened. I forgot what it was in Merkin, but basically car spring is what they're made of. Oh, that makes sense. Car spring makes a really good tool steel for punches and tongs. It's really springy, so if you make those handles skinny enough, you can actually kind of bend the handles and put a lock on them, and it makes it really, really convenient. You can lock those on so you don't have to use as much hand pressure. So I really like springy tongs when I can make them, but I use a lot of mild steel and it's less springy. So yeah. But yeah, hardening your rivet should definitely allow it to take a lot more pressure. So a lot of times when I lose a rivet, it's because the material along the edge of the hole for the rivet starts rubbing up against the rivet itself, and eventually it'll start wearing it out. And so the rivet starts getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and then it gets wobbly. And that's really what's happened to that other set of tongs. So a hardened rivet is going to reduce the amount of material loss from that rubbing. And yeah, it should work beautifully for you. Oh, I know what that sound is. The screen door is banging back and forth again. Not the rivet being hardened, but the tongs. Oh, that also makes sense. Yeah. The tongs hardening, it's, you know, you're going to get a little bit of spring in that, but it'll still increase the life of the tongs. That is a much better way of saying that. Let me check my cameras real fast. Okay, I ended, but that's all right. I don't need that. And it looks like that's fine. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to show you. My memory card is full though. All right, that's fine. We don't need that. All right, so I am going to do one more heat, and then we will raid off. So if you guys have any suggestions on who to raid, let me know. Otherwise, I'll find somebody and we'll say hello. But yes, one more heat ping, or mahalo. I'm used to ping saying, or you know, using the one more heat symbol, but mahalo uses it too, so I shouldn't assume. Yes, one more heat, one more heat. Let me do this. So much for joining me. My suggestion is to have more time for forging. You've got a good setup. We need more people to see blacksmithing. I like doing a certain project from start to finish in a day kind of deal. Yeah, that makes sense. But I have, so I got sick in 2020, and I am still kind of building up my stamina so that I can actually stay out here for longer. So I'm getting there to the point where I can stay out longer, but unfortunately, I just get really, really tired after a little bit of time. So in order to preserve a little bit of energy left, for the end of the day activities like running errands, I gotta do grocery shopping tonight. Not that I want to, but I kind of gotta. So unfortunately, I do have to end the stream. And thank you so much for joining me. I have had so much fun talking with you guys and sharing blacksmithing. So yes. So I do dedicate a day of smithing. I do 3 days a week. I do Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And I stream from about 2:30 Eastern to somewhere in the 5 p.m. Eastern time. So yeah, I will be back here on Friday. But for the moment, I've got a raid off. So thank you all for joining me. I've had so much fun. Have a great rest of your evening, and I will see you guys later. This one. And refresh. And transition. See you next time, Mahalo. Let's see. Who do we get to raid today? Well, we appreciate you, and you're a good smith to follow. Well, thank you so much. And welcome to the community. Let's see. Who all is around? Looks like Johnson is streaming, so we're gonna raid him. He is a knife maker, and we really enjoy watching him. So thank you so much for joining us. Have a great rest of your day.